Northern Minerals has been around for a long time, about 16 years. It's had a long engagement with our native title partners up at site. We're heavily involved with community, and community is a big part of the company itself, particularly on a shared values basis. So we will acknowledge them clearly in terms of recognising their cultural heritage, their beliefs, their connections to land, water, etc. And we pay our respects to the elders, past and present. Putting this presentation together, I was sort of reminding myself in terms of where sort of the rare earth elements sort of fit within sort of macro environment, and I sort of had to remind myself in terms of where all the various accords over the years, over the decades, in fact, that have been agreed between sort of global, particularly the leading developed nations, in terms of the actual clean energy solutions and what we're trying to achieve here. And obviously in terms of a lot of the material that we all look to produce and sell, particularly now, is going towards achieving these net zero emissions. And I just think in terms of it's worth reminding ourselves in terms of the countries that are involved, what everybody's trying to do, the timeframes that we're trying to do them within, and also probably the pressure that we're under, given that we probably haven't hit these targets, and we are under pressure to hit these targets, and we're in the rare earths game, and in terms of the rare earths are very important in terms of contributing to playing a vital role in relation to achieving those targets. So I just thought it was useful in terms of reminding ourselves in terms of where we're at on those. So Brett mentioned the heavy rare earths, and look, certainly referencing Kim Beasley's comments yesterday, the Browns Range project is a significant project. It's heavy rare earths, and we'll get into that in terms of what the heavy rare earth component means within the rare earth industry generally. It's been a project that's been around for a while. It's been looking to develop it over the last 16 years. It started its life as a uranium explorer and discovered the Wolverine deposit as the initial deposit itself, and high in these heavy rare earths. We've continued to look to develop it. We've had some recent success with our drilling results. We had some confirmation drilling looking to convert as part of our resource from inferred into indicated, and that's been a fantastic drill campaign and sets us up for where we wish to go in terms of developing the project itself. I think everybody's aware of our long-term strategic partnership with Iluka. Iluka clearly are building the rare earth processing facility in Eneabba. They're developing their project, obviously using their monazite, which will look to produce the light rare earths, and our important project comes in with the heavies. I just remind people that in terms of the Browns Range project itself, our heavy rare earth component is at just under 90%. So in terms of importance, in terms of the contribution of those heavy rare earths into the industry, but as far as we're aware, it's the highest grade hard rock DYTB heavy rare earth company project going around. So one of the George from Argonaut, who covers us, when he was writing his byline for his initial coverage, I thought was quite clever, who came up with the byline of who was the rarest of them all, and certainly in terms of with our DYTB makeup, we think we certainly are. And look, the other thing we've got is that, and we'll get to in a moment, but you'll see that we've got a very large exploration position in terms of we've got over 5,600 square kilometres of exploration tenure, largely underexplored. So we think that's an absolutely important asset for the company as well. In terms of, where does the lights and the heavies fit? I'm sure a lot of the audience are well aware of sort of rare earth generally. If we go the next level down in relation to where we sit, you'll see here on the blues on the right-hand side, that's where the heavies are. Again, the lights are the greens. The DYTB are of particular interest. Again, we're at 90% on the heavies. The DYTB really are critical in relation to the permanent magnets. You'll see the use cases in terms of the permanent magnets in the EVs and the wind turbines. And as a reminder, in terms of what the DYTB does, is that it enables these permanent, all-important permanent magnets to maintain their coercivity at high temperature. So what does that mean in terms of a lot of these use case applications? Again, EV, wind turbines operate at high temperatures. If we don't have the DY and TB included in those permanent magnets, then they lose their coercivity, i.e. they fail to work. So you'll see that it's critical, again, that the DYTB, our project, gets developed. we've got, you'll see the other NdPr from the light rare earth perspective. Again, when you look at the component of our DyTb, match that with Iluka's lights coming from their monazite, we end up with the exact combination of elements to go into that permanent magnet. And again, touching on Kim Beasley's point yesterday, we all know that sort of China controls that position, and China is the dominant producer of heavies, and they're also obviously the dominant downstream processor of that. So really, from a Northern Minerals perspective, us along with Iluka, we're looking to really create that alternate supply chain to enable to have that independence and see if we can guarantee that security of supply. So board and management. So a couple of years ago, Adam Hanley is now the executive chair, and Nick Curtis, I think in terms of his, he'll be no stranger to anybody in the audience, joined the board of Northern Minerals. And as Nick came on, he certainly went and observed the project and had a look at what it was doing. Its asset base at the time. The company had just was still operating a pilot plant up at Browns Range. For anybody that's seen the photos, it's a large-scale pilot plant, about 10%. It looks like a mini gold mine. And Nick certainly came in and had the view that, after his experience in Lynas, that having a mining operation and a chemical operation up at the Kimberleys was going to be sort of fraught with difficulty. And so very much took the view that, look, let's simplify things, let's reduce complexity in relation to technical and operational risk, and let's also reduce capital. So Nick took the view then at that point in time and recommended to the board to change the strategy to effectively look to produce a concentrate only, don't look to go down the chemical side. Iluka clearly at that point in time were putting together their funding for their Eneabba refinery, and that's when the relationship was born about a couple of years ago, and that's when I came on board as finance director to help Nick in terms of have those discussions and negotiations, etc. With Iluka. Adam's clearly got a long background facing China and resource companies, and certainly from a government relations perspective is very got the skill set that we need at the moment to go forward, and particularly in discussions with funding, particularly with the government bodies, which I'll get to. We have an operational team with good overall technical and commercial and background, and look, we're all pushing forward together to try and get our project to FID and targeting that for March of next year. For those that don't know, the project itself up there in the Kimberleys, it's certainly, it's not the Pilbara. It doesn't have that strong an industrial base. So certainly in terms of the strategy of looking to produce a concentrate and then truck that down to Iluka's refinery in Eneabba certainly was that we believe was to be the right strategy. We'll look to produce a concentrate, again, heavy in the heavies, pardon the pun, about 25%, and that'll end up being about 18 to 20,000 tonnes of concentrate per annum at about a 25% con. I mentioned the pilot plant. That was 3 years it was operating. That certainly from a project development perspective, it was key. What it did is it enabled ore body knowledge, test the process flow sheet, logistics, airstrip, camp, all of those things were put in place, and it really was like operationalising a smaller operation. So that's been really key from the perspective of the company being able to develop its project, and there's been a lot of learnings from that. I should mention that all our key approvals are in place. So, we talk about red tape, etc., within governments and getting projects up. The company's done a fantastic job in getting all of those in place. All the primary approvals are in place, and they're ready to go from that perspective. Mining tenure, native title, environmental, etc. Clearly, we'll have secondary approvals that will need to be done, but that's sort of BAU for any company that's in our position that's looking to go into production. Again, we've got our DFS We're scheduling to complete that by the end of this year. I mentioned the drilling we did earlier on. What we're looking to do is we've just finalised that drilling. We'll update our mineral resource estimate, put that back into our production planning and mine scheduling, and that will look to wrap up the DFS by the end of the year. And again, really the next key work programs for us, other than the DFS, is to seek that all-important project funding, which I'll get to. Just touching on the global magnet value chain, coming down left to right, you know, China, again, 67% of the mining and beneficiation, cracking and leaching, there they are again. Metallisation, the making of the markets, an even higher number. So from a geopolitical perspective, we know that from the rare earth market, they effectively control the market. We're all well aware of that. And I guess, again, to repeat that, we're certainly looking to come up ourselves and Iluka come up with an alternate supply chain for those key oxides that go into the permanent magnet market. And again, the DYTB, all important in making sure that rounded components are able to be available outside of China. I guess in terms of, you know, Jake touched on the sort of the geopolitics and also in terms of from a rare earth perspective, you know, really the background couldn't really be better in terms of we know that there's a number of governments around the world and clearly the developed nations looking to have this, looking what they can do in relation to getting a partnership together and about addressing this effectively control that China does have on the rare earth market. So there's a lot of time, money and resources going in all around the world in relation to addressing these issues. We're all aware of the IRA out of the US. Australia itself, the Australian government has committed large amounts of money in relation to addressing the critical minerals issues. We've got the critical minerals facility of about $4 billion. We know NAIF are out there for about $500 million as part of their funding. We've got the National Reconstruction Fund at about $4 billion with a future made in Australia. So in terms of an environment and a context, it really couldn't be better from a critical minerals perspective at this point in time, albeit clearly we're also facing challenges, as we all know, as an industry in relation to pricing and ultimately incentive pricing to get projects up. So really just covering off, again, our DFS, looking to have that done by the end of the year. We've used, certainly from the process plant perspective, used an ECI process. Tier 1, sort of Western Australia mining DNA and processing DNA organisations. So we're going through and finalising that. The flow sheet's been sort of certainly well tested from at a pilot plant stage, but again, we're confident with all the experts that we've gotten involved that ultimately, when put to the test, that will produce. The mining itself is open pit for a couple of years, and then followed by the underground mining, and that will be a sub-level cave. So, whilst not conventional, it's certainly, you know, it's an area of focus for us in terms of, particularly from a DFS perspective, and something that, you know, those in the room that have done one before will know we've got to get right. We've got all the infrastructure it's established. Yes, it needs to be expanded, but we've been able to have all of the camp, airstrip, etc., and so we are ready to go from an operations perspective. So capital cost of looking at about $550 million. That's pre-contingency, but we're looking to do everything we can in relation to bringing those costs down prior to going to FID. So where are we looking to do it at this point in time? The next 6 to 9 months are critical in terms of looking for funding, and that's really where we're at the moment. And that's certainly one of my key responsibilities is to go out there and seek that project funding. Key to us at the moment, we're looking in terms from a debt perspective, where I'm heavily engaged with NAIF and EFA, as a lot of organisations are. We've engaged the services of SRK to undertake an independent technical engineers report on behalf of prospective lenders. So we're going through and getting that all-important data set ready for diligence and ready for that review, so we can continue those discussions. We've got Iluka, who are deep in diligence from their perspective as well, reminding people that they're also our proposed equity cornerstone, subject to diligence. Then they'll look to be our cornerstone investor at FID. And again, we're heavily involved with them from an operational perspective and a project update. So I'll just quickly touch on, you can see, everyone knows that area, you can see the size of that exploration tenure. That's a lot there, so we're keen to get going on that, and subject to funds being available, we're keen to get going on that. So look, thanks very much for your time. I just remind everybody in terms of the importance of our sort of project DYTB and particularly in the rare earths and going forward. So thank you.